is weird. Let's get the computer situated. Nope, still not. Why is it not coming up?
Might just take a minute.
Sigh. Okay. Well, I'm where. Oh, here it is.
There, see?
Okay. I'm trying to pull it up on my computer so I can see the comments better because it doesn't always read well on the phone. Anyway. Oh, now I have like a weird glow. I don't know if I like that. If this was higher, maybe it would look like. Nope. I still have a glow. It's fine. I'm glowing. Whatever. So. Hi, Jasmine. So this is going to be our discussion for Addie LaRue. I finished it a few days ago, so it's still relatively fresh in my mind, but Sarah read it at the beginning of the month, so hopefully she remembers things. Hi, Mickey. Anyway, I think we have some questions we're going to pull up that Sarah's going to basically moderate our discussion, and then we can chat about the book. Oh, hi, Jennifer. So good to see everybody showing up tonight. Today's been a weird day, so hopefully we have a good live show. Sarah, do you want to hold up the book at all? I don't know. You can see my little bear friend. He's my little desk buddy. Oh, now he's gone. We have book instead. Can we put this behind us? Will you be able to see it? Oh, it is too tall. Hold on. Let me move these guys down and put it here. And then I think it'll be behind us. I still am like in weird shadow. I don't know how to get rid of that. We're just going to have to go with it. I think it's because of the position of the ring light. So why don't we go ahead and you can pull up the questions.
Okay.
And we'll get started on talking about the book. Do you want to like talk about your initial thoughts at all first?
Oh, you go first.
Oh, me? I get to go first.
Yes.
Okay. Honestly, I went into this not sure if I was going to like it because I just kind of liked Vicious a little bit. I didn't love it like Sarah did, so I was worried that it was an issue with the writing and that maybe I just wasn't a fan of V.E. Schwab's writing. And so when I started the book, I was very nervous that I was going to be like the one person that didn't get it. And I'm happy to say that that was not the case, and I really, really liked it. I surprisingly so. I think because maybe I had gone in with low expectations, it was that much better because I wasn't expecting anything from it. But I ended up really, really enjoying the story. I especially like getting to see like through the historical eras and stuff, and like I really liked it. For me, it felt very similar in like tone and the way the story was told to The Night Circus, which I also ended up really liking unexpectedly because both of those books are ones that I had so hyped to me that I was afraid almost to read them. And that they were like the exceptions for me. Usually when a book is really hyped, I end up hating it. So those two books, The Night Circus and Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, were really exceptions to that rule, and I ended up really loving them. So
I feel like I went into it completely differently because like I already kind of knew I was gonna like the book because I'm a really big fan of V.E. Schwab's writing and just a big fan of her in general. So I went into this book with very high expectations and was very satisfied. Like my expectations were met. I really loved it. Yeah.
do you agree with me about The Night Circus, or is that just me?
I feel like...
Oh, I see. Hillary agrees. It says it did have Night Circus vibes.
It has some similar vibes, but like I would say that The Night Circus doesn't have a plot. Essentially, like it has a fake plot.
I mean,
but,
you
like,
could make an argument that neither does Addie LaRue.
Addie has a bit more of a plot.
I mean, it has a bare bones plot. Yeah. It's really not.
It's much more of a vibes kind of book than a plot kind of book. But I feel like Night Circus goes harder with the vibes, and Addie at least tries to have more of a storyline.
And that I think is why it surprises me, because I don't tend to like character-driven books. I much prefer having a plot. I mean, I like well-written characters, but I want them to be doing things. Like, I need a fast-paced plot to keep me interested sometimes. And so those slower books tend to end up just setting them aside because I got bored. So I was
I'm the opposite.
pleased that I was able to like keep my interest. And there was like, I read it really quickly. A book that size, being so character driven, that normally would take me at least 2 weeks to get through because I would have like breaks in between where I was like, I'm getting bored, let me read something else and come back. But I think I read the whole story in like 5 days, which is super fast for me for a book like that.
Like I feel like we both liked the book, but our experiences that were so vastly different because like I prefer more slower character driven stories most of the time, but then also like I read this book really slowly. Like I would
Well, you
read
said
like
you were doing it slow on purpose.
I was doing it on purpose because like I would finish a section and be like I need to put it down and read more tomorrow because I wanted to savor it. But also, I read it at the very beginning of the month, so I could savor it. You didn't have that option.
No, I didn't have the option. I was like, oh no, I have no time. I was nervous I was going to be reading up to like an hour before the live show, but I finished it so much faster than I expected. But yeah, I was nervous at the beginning that it was going to take me forever to read once I realized it was going to be a slow story, but not the case at all. All right, so do you want to pull up questions?
Sure.
I don't know. We're just Googling book club questions because neither of us had the thought to sit down and make a list of questions ahead of time.
Let's talk about Addie at the start of the novel. What are some of the key ways that she was ahead of her time?
You know, I would say Addie felt very much like, and it's going to sound cliche, like a timeless kind of character. Like, she was obviously more feminist, I guess is a good word for it, at the beginning of the story for her time period. And that, you know, she wanted to be on her own. And that her role model was basically the village witch, which was just sort of not your usual for that time period. But I don't feel like at any point, and that was probably my one minor qualm about the book overall, was that at no point did I feel like she was in the right time period as herself. Like she was always sort of like out of time, which I guess makes sense. But also, like, I kind of want historical accuracy when we're dealing with historical time periods. So that was a little bit iffy for me, but I gave it 5 stars. So it obviously wasn't that big of a deal, but it would have been cool if that had been a thing. Yeah, the timelessness of her is kind of, I don't know. It almost felt like a little bit too tongue-in-cheek. She's timeless. Like, of course she is. Do you have an answer for that? Do you want to add to the question? Question, discussion, whatever?
I don't know. I feel like I lost my train of thought. Give me a second. I'm very out of it today.
Yes. Yeah, I agree, Mickey. I do wonder sometimes, like, the idea of girls just conforming because that's what's expected of them. I wonder how many girls were really okay with getting married when they were 13 and being expected to just have babies for the rest of your life until you can't and then you die. Like, that can't have been something that most people were necessarily happy with. Like, I wonder how many people would have been just as ready to take some kind of a deal like that to avoid such a life, because it was not an easy life. Do you have thoughts yet, my dear? You can't do it. Wake up. Okay, do you want to go to the next question since you got nothing?
Why do you think Addie made this deal with Luke? I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah, did anyone else struggle with pronouncing his name? I think it's supposed to be Luke, but when she said short for Lucian, I went, wait, is it still pronounced Luke or is it loose? I don't know. And it bothered me the whole book because I could never be sure I was pronouncing it right in my head. I'm going to go with Luke because that's what I wanted it to be.
I was reading it as loose. But also, like, don't ask me about name pronunciation. When I was reading Vicious for the first time, I didn't know how to pronounce Eli.
The entire time I was reading on audio, it is Luke. Okay. So I was right. But the whole time I wasn't sure.
So I was wrong. As usual.
Yes, it's okay. So, what was the question? I got distracted.
Why do you think Addie made this deal with
Okay.
Luke? And if you could have the potential to live forever, would you take it?
Ooh, that's a good question though. I mean, I know why she wanted to live forever. I don't know if living forever was necessarily what she wanted. She didn't specifically say that at first. What she wanted was to be able to live on her own terms, which don't we all? So I don't think that was a bad wish, need, whatever you want to call it. But obviously, the way she worded things could easily be manipulated. And clearly, Luke is not. I never got the impression that he was necessarily evil, but I don't think he's good. So it's some sort of like in between weird gray area. And like, I know she was desperate because the fact that she was about to have to get married to somebody she did not want to be with, and that she would be trapped forever in this village that she could never leave. And like, obviously she's desperate. But yeah, I don't know. Would I want to do that? I don't know if I could handle the whole being forgotten thing. I have enough anxiety with social situations that like that I couldn't deal with, like having to reintroduce myself over and over. I get heart palpitations thinking about it.
But like, so if you think about it, if you mess up and do something embarrassing, you just leave the room, come back, and nobody remembers.
Sure, in theory, but me, in reality, I still think about the stupid things I did 20 years ago. Like,
yes, but nobody else does.
No one does, but I would be like burdened with 300 years of embarrassing situations. I can't. So, I don't know. Would I want to live her specific life? No. Would I want to live forever if I could like have a normal life and not be I don't know. Honestly, immortality is such a weird curse because on one hand, sure, no one wants to die, but on the other hand, everyone around you is going to die. Do you really want to be the last one left? Like, I don't know. I don't know what's worse, living forever or being alone. So for me, that's never been one of those things that I'm like, oh, I definitely want to live forever. But also, I don't know. What do you think, Sarah? Do you have thoughts for this question?
Like for these two questions back to back, like it's hard for me to like discuss them just because like I'm writing about this exact thing practically in the book I'm working on. So like I have thoughts, but also I don't want to talk about them.
We could talk a little bit without having to get into your book, but like, would you want to live forever? Would you want to live like Addie?
Like Addie? No. I feel like that would be a little bit that would be a little bit too much. But like, it's a weird thing that I think about way too often is immortality, which is why like I write about vampires and stuff. Because I'm just like very fascinated by the concept.
Yeah,
it's not for myself.
See, that's the thing. I love reading about history, so I love the idea of being able to live through history far enough along that you can reflect back and like see things. Like right now we're living in a historical period of time, and part of me is like, I wish I could live for like another 200 years so I can see how this plays out because I'm curious. But obviously, like, I don't really want to live through 200 years of this nonsense right now. So like, I don't know. On the one hand, there's pros and cons, I guess. So, but yeah, I'm overthinking it again, but I don't know that I'd really want to live forever. But I would like to be aware of what's happening on the planet from wherever I am after life is over, so I can be aware of the history of it. Is that weird? Yeah. That's a whole different curse, I think.
I mean, at the very least, like, Addie won't be alive forever. Like, at some point,
yeah,
for the whole deal with Luke, so he's gonna have to be like, okay, now I'm done. Yeah. So like, it's not a forever kind of deal.
I suppose that's true, but like, how long can she stand it? Yeah. Okay, you want to do another question? Or are we just going to talk about immortality for the rest of the night?
Could you live knowing that everybody you've ever met is dead?
Oh, that would be... No, I don't want to talk about that. Next question.
The cruel twist is that going forward, nobody will remember Addie except for Luke. What did you think about how Addie's initial experiences with this curse? How was she able to survive?
That was like a very stressful span of the book, reading about like her adjusting to this curse, because that is an awful curse. Like, it's really mean. And I didn't, I'm like, oh, clearly Luke is just the worst of the demons, because that's really harsh. Um, but yeah, I don't know. That was hard to read about. Like, the idea of being forgotten and then having to like reintroduce yourself, and like, I totally understand the way she feels towards Luke, being like, one on one hand she hates him because he did this to her, but on the other hand he's the only one that remembers her. So like, there's some weird connection where she feels drawn to that because at least he knows her when nobody else does. So I don't know, that was like a really weird relationship.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it was meant to be written romantically. And I'm sure there are people that ship it, because there always are.
Yeah.
But like, I always felt so uncomfortable about Addie's relationship with him, because I mean, I don't know. Can he feel love for her?
He feels
I
something.
don't. He feels something. It kind of reminded me of Spike and Buffy. But
So
like,
you do ship it.
unsold. Well, I mean, okay, shut up. But unsold
I see what you're
Spike.
doing.
Because, well, with Spike without a soul didn't love Buffy. He possessed her. Like, he was obsessed with her as a possession. And so to Luke, Addie is this possession that he wants to own and has become obsessed with over the span of time. And I don't think that that's love. And I would say Spike wasn't really in love with Buffy until he got his soul. So Luke doesn't have a soul, I don't think, because he just consumes the souls. I don't think he has one. That wasn't really established, though. It was just my assumption of it. But I don't think he physically, emotionally can love her. So I think that for him, it was all about, this is my possession and it's mine and I like it a lot and want it forever because mine. And for Addie, again, I think it was just more of a relief to know that there's at least this one thing that knows her, and maybe even became comfortable after a while because it's the only thing that knows her. But I think we totally got off topic. I don't even remember what the question was.
Neither do I.
That's fine. It's okay. We're everywhere. We're all over the place. But yeah, I feel like their relationship was kind of uncomfortable for me at the very beginning. Like, obviously, I don't think it was written as a romance. I think it was written to be one of those like complicated, kind of abusive situations where she's kind of stuck with him and has to learn to manipulate him. But never was it love for either of them.
And I really liked how, over the course of time, when she was able to realize how she couldn't make a mark herself, but she could influence others to create art in order for they made the mark for her. So
Yeah.
the whole thing about like that research project of all of these pieces of art that have the same woman in them, and they're all Addie. But nobody knows they're Addie, of course. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was neat. I like that she became kind of a muse for artists, and that she even called herself a talent scout at one point. I thought that was kind of clever. A good way to like figure out your place. Like when people did ask you, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a talent scout. Nobody needs to know more than that. But yeah, I thought that was kind of a neat way for her to make her mark without really making a mark. But also the whole idea of the logistics of the curse, and not being able to write, not being able to draw, not being able to type, not being able to take photography, like all of that is so depressing to me. It's like, oh, you can't do this either? Like, how do you live in a modern world with no technology? I mean, obviously she was getting by, but the idea of that, and like, and obviously I grew up in a time when we didn't have cell phones, and like people didn't have a computer that they used all the time, and the internet was just brand new. So I know in my head that you can get by without that. But like in our modern society, the idea of, oh, I don't have a phone. How do I reach you? You don't. like like I don't know. That's just baffling to me.
But also, she doesn't really need social media or any
No,
of that.
and I know
like,
she doesn't
she
need
has no
social
use
media.
for it. So.
But at the same time, as a human, I mean, I guess she's not technically human anymore, but like being a person in this world, how do you know what's happening around you if you can't, like, everything's online now? Like, it's not like you could just, well, I mean, you can pick up a newspaper, but like, I don't know. I things like that. I overthink, and I start like questioning, like, could this really happen? No, Emily, it can't. But like to me, it just feels very strange, and like, how do you live like that? I don't know.
I mean, if you never had it in the first place, and she's lived
This is
so
true.
long in the
I mean,
past,
I guess
that,
that's
like,
true.
it's not as if,
But-
like, if it happened, if she made that deal now and lost her ability to use social media and internet and stuff, then I think it would be an actually bad thing. But if she never used it in the first place, it's not like she's missing out on it because she never would have experienced it before.
I suppose that's true.
It's just the thing that she knows
But,
that
I
people
mean-
have, but she doesn't. Yeah, whatever.
I guess so. I just always wonder, like, when people time travel or live immortal lives or whatever, like, how do they adjust as times change so much? Like, I would imagine going from the early 1700s to the early 1800s, even though that's 100 years, not a lot changed. Like, overall, the world's still pretty similar. But going from like 1850 to 1950, that's a huge drastic change. And then going from 1950 to now, like, there's just so much. I can't wrap my brain around, like, how would you adjust? Like, I don't know. That kind of thing, just like, it's a lot. And now I'm gonna have to point out that I have never seen anything to do with Xanadu. I've heard the word said,
I don't know,
but
what
I don't know what
is.
Xanadu is. The only thing I think I know about Xanadu is, isn't it, I can't think of her name, from Greece. What's the actress's name in Greece? I'm so tired right now. Names are slipping from my mind. But that's the only thing I know about Xanadu, is that the girl from Greece is in it.
I don't know what it is.
Olivia Newton-John. Thank you. But I've never seen it. I don't know what it is. I'm going to have to look it up to see what Xanadu has to do with Addie LaRue. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go look it up as soon as we're done with this live show, because I don't even know what it is.
I've never heard of it.
Isn't it she's on roller skates? I don't know. Or is that something else? I don't know. It's one of those weird 80s things. Next question.
Okay. Next question. Did you like Addie? Was she a good protagonist to follow?
I think, yeah, I definitely liked Addie. She's very, I don't want to say relatable, because I'm not in that situation at all. Relatable isn't the right word, but it kind of is, because I feel like she's every woman who's wanted to just be independent and not have to do what everyone else is doing. Like, I get that. So, yeah, I would say she's a likable character, and
I would say she's pretty, for the most part, a static character. Like,
yeah, she really doesn't have a lot of
yeah.
growth. She's pretty much the same, which, I mean, in her situation, I can see that, because she has to basically live this weird, like,
it's like she's a snapshot of herself, not
yeah, because
she can't change and grow much anymore.
no, yeah, because she can't change anything about her appearance. Even, like, everything is always the same, and I think that would be hard, because I don't know. I think it would be frustrating sometimes to not be able to change your appearance. Even just getting a haircut can, like, change your whole mood sometimes. So to not be able to do that, just be like trapped in this body forever, I think it would be hard. But yeah, so I can understand why she doesn't really grow or change at all throughout the story. Normally that would bother me a lot and I would want growth to happen, but like it made sense for her to not grow because how can she? So yeah, it's hard to grow when you can't leave a mark. That's a good point.
Want to move on?
Yep.
So let's discuss Luke in more detail. Was he a
Ew.
devil, angel, or a god? And did you want to know more about him?
I definitely saw Luke as some kind of a demon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that he was a god. I don't know. Do we?
Well,
how do
he
we
was-
distinguish? Like, what is the difference between like a demon and a
Well,
god?
okay,
Are they not?
It's been a little while since I read the book now, so my memory of this might be poor, but he's not. Because I remember the witch, she was explaining to Addie about the gods and praying to them and stuff, and that specifically not to pray to the gods to answer at night. And Luke was a god that answers at night. So I
guess
that,
he is a god then.
Yes, he's a god, but like
canonically, he is a god.
I interpreted gods to answer
God
at night
with-
as demons.
Okay, so is it God with a lowercase g then?
Probably.
Yeah, like not the god, but
No.
a god. Yeah. Okay.
Like, I thought I assumed that meant yeah, he's the evil like demon type of god rather
But,
than
you
like
know,
the nice
I
ones that
don't
help you
know
with
that
things.
I would consider him evil. I think
He's very, very gray.
he's definitely very gray, but I don't know that I would like. I'm gonna go back to Spike. I don't consider Spike in like season 5 to be evil anymore, but I also don't see him as good. He can't be good, but he also isn't necessarily evil. But yeah, I don't know. I liked him kind of as a character because he's definitely one of those like intriguing figures that you want to know more and you want to read more about. And I liked the scene where he like showed her what he really is. I thought that was interesting, like to see his true face, I guess. But yeah, I don't really feel that he was necessarily evil. Like I don't think it's black and white. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, okay. Britt says, I think he was the god that many darker gods and demons in many religions were based on. So for a Western perception, Lucifer, but he may have been known as other gods in other parts of the world. Yes, I agree with that. I think that's a good way of explaining it.
Yeah.
Because I definitely got the vibe that like he was one of many things. Yeah. Makes me curious what happens to the souls. Like once he's taken them,
They get eaten.
consumed them, like what happens to them? Do they become part of him? Are they like trapped inside of him? Or do they go to a place of rest? I think a lot about afterlife stuff. I don't know. I'm morbid, but I think about this stuff a lot.
When I think of like what happens to a soul after a demon deal, I'm pretty sure you just either go to whatever that version of hell would be, or you'd cease to exist at all. There's no afterlife for people to make
because
deals.
I feel like that's part of why Addie won't surrender to him, is that she doesn't know what that means. Like, am I dead? Am I going to an afterlife? Am I trapped in some hell dimension? Like, what happens? I don't know. I would want, before I agreed, I would want to know what that would be, because like I need to know all the details. I don't want to sign up for something that I don't really want to do, but you can't really get out of. So yeah, I wondered that a lot, the whole book. Like, well, what's going to happen if she does decide to surrender? Where does she go?
I mean, obviously something would happen. It's different than regular death.
Well, no, obviously it's different. So yeah, so what happens? And I really loved the whole concept of like all these famous people have sold their souls to him. And like the scene with Beethoven, I was like, wait, I wasn't prepared. That one kind of caught me off guard, and I don't know quite how I feel about it even now. But yeah, seeing like in him walking in a room with all these famous people, is like, so who do you think I own in this room? That's weird. it's almost like he collects these trophies, and like, yeah,
I would say that's another thing that makes Luke and Addie similar, is that they both seem to have a lot of interest in artists.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's something they both focus
And
on.
I really liked that he pointed out he doesn't like war. War's not his thing. It's dirty and ugly, and he doesn't like that. And I was like, interesting, because you would think a demon who takes souls would be all over war, but I guess it depends on your demon. Because like I mean, obviously if there's a god that's obsessed with art and artists and that sort of thing, there must also be one that is more into I just want souls. I don't care who or how. I just want death, and war would be perfect for them. I don't know. I think about all these things too much. Too much thinking about the death and the afterlives and all of that.
While she goes through the absolute worst, Addie never gives in and lets Luke have her soul. What do you think kept Addie going throughout all the years?
I'm gonna stick with her fear of, well, what happens when I agree to go? Like,
also just sheer stubbornness.
I get that. I am the most stubborn person. Like, I can get through a lot of awful just based on my sheer stubbornness to just deal with it. So yeah, I can totally see the stubbornness, but also I see the fear, because again, I can relate to the idea of like wanting to live forever, but also like what happens next. Like like with back to the immortality thing, what happens when the world ends? Where do I go? What happens to me? Do I just float in space? Like, I don't know. Things like that freak me out. So I can see that it's both the stubbornness and the fear of what happens if she gives in. But yeah, oh yeah, Erica says it also gave her a bit of power over Luke. Yes, being able to have some sort of power over this thing that did this to you. Like, yeah, I can definitely see that's a big part of it. So, yeah. Thoughts? I feel like I'm talking and you're just asking the questions.
Hey, contributing.
Yes.
And I feel like her stubbornness really shows through at the very end too. That even after giving in, she didn't at all.
No.
Like, she has plans.
I love that she was like, actually, no, we're not gonna play your game anymore. Yeah. I don't necessarily want another whole novel, but I would love like a short story about like their fight to the death. Kind of. Like, what does she do? I don't think there's going to be a sequel. I'm pretty sure I've heard, and Sarah confirmed to me, that it's just a standalone book. So there's not a sequel. But I would love an adaptation, though. I kept saying to myself as I was reading, like, this is so cinematic. Like, I want to see all the costumes. And I just think it would be very beautiful to see this as a movie. I hope it gets adapted. I would love that. And I hope they don't ruin it, because I don't know.
A movie or a show?
I don't know.
Like a limited run type show.
Yeah, definitely a limited run. Like maybe a 10-episode miniseries or something. So they can get all the details, because I think it would be hard to do as a 2-hour movie. There would be too much to cut. But yeah, I would love to see it adapted somehow, because I think it would have some really great potential. Just the costumes alone. It would be great.
Also,
I'd love to see
I've already cast Addie in my head.
Who's Addie?
I don't know the actress's name, but the actress from Hill House and Bly Manor. Danny
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Can you see it?
You know, I struggled the whole novel to visualize Addie, because I kept picturing her as V.E. Schwab. And I was like, why is this happening? Why am I doing this? I couldn't stop seeing V.E. Schwab as Addie. And I was like, no, Emily, that's not how she's described. Stop it. But like, I just kept picturing that. So, but yeah, I think.
Can you see it, that actress?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, actually, I think that'd be good. I don't know who could play Henry or Luke. We haven't talked at all about Henry.
Oh yeah, hopefully there's some Henry questions.
I just, like, I know. I was like, wait a second, we didn't even mention Henry. Okay, let's find a Henry question. Okay. I feel like we're being neglectful.
Right. Wait, I think I found Henry.
You found him.
Okay. By the time we get to Addie in New York in 2014, she's adjusted to her life. She gets by through stealing and knows that all relationships are temporary until she meets Henry. Let's talk about the scene when Henry remembers her.
I kind of saw it coming. Well, I went in knowing that at some point someone was going to remember her. So when we started reading about Henry, I was like, oh, Henry's the character is going to remember her. So I saw it coming. So it wasn't like a plot twist or anything like that. But I thought it was interesting, like untangling why he could see her and remember her. And I found that that was an interesting, like, plot point, I guess, and finding out about the way their curses kind of brought them together, I guess. So I found that really interesting. And I liked Henry as a character. I liked that he was Jewish. Just especially that he was kind of an atheistic Jew. Like, I get that. Like, it's nice to see. So that was kind of cool. So I don't know. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I liked his character. And, like, actually, since I was thinking about how you kept saying is that you pictured Addie as V. Schwab, which she's talked about multiple times that no, she isn't Addie, she's Henry. Henry is the character that she wrote herself into.
Okay.
So that's what I thought about a lot when I was reading Henry's character. Because, like, I feel like in this book, you either really relate to Addie or you really relate to Henry. Since both of them have such distinct struggles, they're such a big impacting part of the plot.
I don't think I related so much to Henry. I liked him as a character, and I could understand why Addie felt drawn to him, but I related more to Addie than I did to Henry. That's just me. But I liked their relationship. I liked seeing how they connected and kind of bonded over their shared trauma of, like, being cursed. I will say that I didn't see the details of Henry's curse right away. Like, honestly, I didn't predict a lot about the story. There was one point when I did point out to Sarah, I was like, I think Henry's cursed too. And Sarah, who had already finished the book, was like, do you? but
How could you have ever gotten that idea?
I don't know. I'm smart. but like I knew that he was also cursed somehow. But I didn't see coming, I guess, his specifics about his curse. So I really liked seeing that sort of slowly play out throughout the story.
I actually thought that Henry's curse sounded just more stressful for me.
Oh my god.
Because, like, I already am a super paranoid person about how people perceive me, so the idea that everybody likes me sounds horrifying.
Just the people, the way they were treated, I could not with that. Like, I'm not going to say I don't like being the center of attention, because I mean, I'm on YouTube. Obviously, I like people to look at me and talk to me and stuff, but not in that kind of way. Like, it goes along with the way I would feel about, like, fame. And I think we talked about this when we read The Midnight Library.
Oh, I didn't talk about this.
Well, you didn't talk about this, but we talked about this. But, like, I wouldn't want to be famous, and I wouldn't want to be in a situation where, like, I couldn't just go out and like buy groceries or go to the bookstore or something without people coming up to me. Like, that stresses me out, just the thought of it. So I would have hated that curse. Like, I understand what he was going for in, like, wanting people to love him. Like, yes, we all want to be loved, but I would not want to be, like, an object, I guess is basically what he had become, this, like, object of awe and wonder that people were just, like, drawn to, and they don't even know why. Like, whenever he asks, like, why do you like me, and they're like, oh well, because you're you, and like, no, it was very stressful to read about. I would not like that. So given the choice between the two curses, I would take Addie's over Henry's, even though they're both equally stressful, but it's a different kind of stress. Yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, Alicia said, I kept thinking somehow Henry would be Luke in disguise. I had that thought too. At one point I was like, wait, what if he's Luke?
It is interesting because he's been described as looking very similar to him.
Yeah, because they do look alike. So I wondered for a minute, like, wait, is he like in disguise to like trick her into falling in love with him? But no, I'm glad it wasn't that, because I think I wouldn't have liked that as much. But I do wonder, like, casting in my mind for the adaptation, because I'm in charge of that, But like, I wonder how they would go about casting Luke and Henry, because they're supposed to look so much alike. So do you have the same actor playing both of them, or do you just find two very similar looking actors? I don't know. I don't know how you would do that. What would you want to see?
I think it would be too weird if they were the same actor. I feel like they don't look identical, similar.
Just very similar. The floppy curly hair. I could not stop picturing Timothée Chalamet, and I hate him. Okay, hate's a strong word. I don't hate him, but I strongly dislike him as an actor. So I kept visualizing him, and I was like, stop it. Don't make me dislike this character. But like, I don't know. I was struggling to picture anybody in this book, and I don't know why. I think it was just me being weird, but usually I can visualize characters as actors, and I think Timothée Chalamet was just messing with my head. So, like, I could not figure out how to picture him. I'm like, what is an actor with the floppy hair, so I can stop picturing him? So anyway, that's just my weird brain. Okay. Oh, there you go. Okay, Mickey, I like that one. To have Ian Somerhalder to play Luke. But like 10 years ago, Ian Somerhalder. I think he's too old now, maybe? I don't know. Although I guess he's ageless, so I don't know. But yeah, 10 years ago, Ian Somerhalder would have been a perfect Luke. Okay, I don't know who Adrian Grenier is. I'm going to have to look him up too. I apparently know nothing. Kit Harington. I said, you know nothing. Maybe think of Game of Thrones. Kit Harington has the curly floppy hair thing. I could see that. I think he's also mopey enough to play Henry. So there we go. And he's probably the right age, because isn't he like 29, 30, 28, somewhere in there? Right? How old was Henry? He had a birthday. Didn't they say his age? Was he like 29?
I think so.
Maybe. So I'm going to cast Kit Harington.
You do that. You don't want to know my fan cast.
Excuse me. I don't want to know your fan cast. Who would you cast? Do I know them?
No.
No.
Well, yes, but no.
Yes, but no. Okay, now I have to know who you're casting.
I have a default fan cast, and it's a member of BTS.
Oh, stop.
No.
They're not actors.
Actually.
Are they? Do they act in K-dramas and stuff? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I thought they were just singers and dancers. I didn't realize they did acting too.
Only one member has been in a K-drama before.
Ah, okay. So there, I guess they are actors then. Which one? I don't know. Like, I would know the difference. I don't know any of them.
Taehyun. I'll show you a picture later.
Okay.
I default cast him as male fictional characters.
Ah. Okay. Want to do another question?
Yes.
Okay.
Find a good one.
Yeah. What do you got? Do you want to go to the ending? Or do we already talk about that a little
There's
bit?
a couple I'm looking at, see which ones are skip worthy or not. It's like I found one like, oh wait, literally we just discussed this. Never mind.
Yeah, Alicia says Orlando Bloom as Luke and Kit Harington as Henry. They are pretty similar looking. Who was that other one? There's another actor that I always mix up with Orlando Bloom. And I can't think of his name. I'm clearly very tired. I keep losing names. He played Bard in the Hobbit movies. What is his name?
Why are you referring to the Hobbit movies?
Because he played Bard in them. I know the actor was in the movie. I can't think of his name, but he always makes me think of Orlando Bloom, even though he's not.
I don't think I know who you're talking about.
What is his? He was in Dracula Untold. He played Dracula in that.
I still don't know who you're talking about.
You're going to make me Google it. I'm going to Google it because it's bothering me now. Hold on.
I'm going to hold up your computer.
No, I can't type. Hold on. Dracula Untold. What is his name? No, I can't find the cast. Hold on. Luke Evans. His name is Luke. There you go. Oh, I look up and everyone's like, Luke Evans.
Oh.
I Googled for nothing. So thank you. But yes, Luke Evans is the one I always kind of like. He looks enough like Orlando Bloom that sometimes I mix them up. So maybe they could like, they're both too old, I guess. But you know, whatever. Again, 10 years ago, Luke Evans and Orlando Bloom could play that. Let's just go back in time.
I have a question now.
Okay, what is the question?
Do you think Henry and Addie were truly in love, or were they bonded by their circumstances?
Yeah, okay. Again, I don't think they were really in love, because just like Addie is drawn to Luke because he remembers her, I think they're drawn to each other because they like work against each other's curse. Like she's the only one that doesn't like fawn obsessively over him, and he's the only one that remembers her. So immediately they're both like, they need each other for that purpose, because they're the only thing that makes them feel normal. So I think it's very much an infatuation, and I don't know that they really loved each other, because honestly I don't know if either of them, well, I mean Henry's capable, but I don't know if Addie is anymore. Just being the way she's been for so long, I'm not even sure she can fully love anyone anymore, because she must have like mentally like blocked herself from that emotion just to be able to survive. So I don't know that she loved him, or that he loved her for that matter, but I think that they needed each other. So
I think that's something I really appreciate about V.E. Schwab's writing, is she hardly ever writes actual romance in her books. Like there's like implications, but like it's never really an actual romance, even if it's like presented as such.
Okay,
it's not
I can see
really.
that. Yeah, because it definitely there was
something between them. It
Yeah.
just wasn't something romantic.
no. Yeah, I agree with everyone saying it was more of a comfort thing. Yeah, they were definitely very comfortable with each other, which I think is such an important need that people don't necessarily think about as much as they think about love and romance. Like being comfortable with somebody is so emotionally freeing, and like I think that would, yeah, safety. It's a big thing that they were able to be safe and comfortable with each other, which neither of them could have. So but yeah, every time they went out together with his friends and she had to keep like reintroducing her, oh my gosh, I was like, oh no, I can't. I was uncomfortable. So yeah, I could not with that. That would be too hard. Like I would just be like, no more people.
I mean, she's used to it, but then
Yeah.
Henry isn't. So I think it was more comfortable for him than it was for Addie, who is used to doing that every time.
It was still just like so stressful to read the situation like that. I could not. That would just be too much for me. But again, I think also Addie seems like a very outgoing kind of person, and that kind of life would maybe be better suited for someone like that. And I'm very introverted, and honestly, I would just hole up in a cave. I feel like no more people. That would be too hard. So I don't know. What do you think? Could you do that as an introverted person?
I feel like I would be comforted just in the thought that if I do something embarrassing or bad, that like I can just leave the room, come back, and nobody remembers.
That, I mean, yeah,
it's like,
there is.
Wait, I messed up. I misspoke. Let me start over.
Let me go. Hold on, I'll be back in a minute. You won't remember. Yeah, I mean, there is some kind of like safety net there. Like you can't really be embarrassed as well. I mean, you can, but you wouldn't have the consequences of the embarrassment. So you just like have a bunch of do-overs. But like that movie, did you watch 50 First Dates? You have to watch 50 First Dates. That's like my favorite Adam Sandler movie. But yeah, that's the whole concept of that, is that she has like this memory loss issue and she can't remember anything past this one day. And so everything that happened before this day is gone. Or no, she remembers everything from the past. She doesn't remember anything after it. So like she can't like keep a new person in her mind. and this guy's like falling in love with her, and he keeps having these first dates over and over and over, and like it's great.
We should cast Adam Sandler as Luke.
I would.
You would.
I no, I wouldn't, but he's not the right role for him. But you know,
Could
he
be
will
Henry.
always live in my heart.
He can be Henry.
Henry. No, sadly, I cannot find a role in this adaptation for Adam Sandler. But if only.
Henry has only a year to live, but Addie makes a deal with Luke to keep Henry alive. Let's discuss this turn of events.
I was wondering how that was going to happen, because I knew there was going to be some kind of little twist at the end, and that she was going to somehow save him. But I wondered how, because I didn't really think Luke was going to go, okay, sure, here's his soul back. You're cool. Part of me thought that he would somehow agree to it, but then like make it so that Henry couldn't remember her. And so I kept expecting that to happen. Like she would beg for his soul back, and he'd be like, fine, here it is. He doesn't remember you now. And like, how much would that hurt compared with like him being taken? I don't know. So I kept thinking that was what was going to happen. So I kind of thought it was interesting that that's not what happens, and that she somehow convinced him to like give up this soul for her. And I don't know, part of me didn't quite like it as much as if he had forgotten her. But I did also think the whole meta thing was interesting. The idea of him writing this book called The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue.
I liked that.
I
meta
thought
aspect.
that sometimes that does not work for me. Like, that was the thing I absolutely abhorred the most about the Game of Thrones finale. Like the whole, like, here's the book, it's the Song of Ice and Fire, and I wrote it, and it was written by Sam, and like I hated that so much. It made me upset, and I was like, stop it. So I usually don't appreciate when it's done like that, but it worked in this situation so much better than it did in the Game of Thrones. I don't want to talk about it, but
See, my brain was going more like the end of the New Little Women movie.
I didn't even think of that. But yeah, okay. I mean, that made sense though. Again, because Little Women is literally based on her life, so like that works because that's what that was. But like having it be the book that you're reading right now, like, am I reading the book that was written by Henry? Like, that was kind of a fun little ending. So I liked that. I liked that she rigged the system to the point where now she's famous because there's this book. So I liked the idea of that.
And then I guess the very last question. What did you think about the ending? What will happen between Addie and Luke, and will she ever break free? Which I think we kind of talked about.
We did a little bit. Like, well, what do you think happens next? Do you think she's going to surrender? Or do you think she's going to just fight this to the end? Like, she talks about freedom and being free of him. But what does that mean? Because he owns her. He has her soul.
And he's also a god.
And
so
she
can't exactly
she
get rid of him.
And to me, like, her whole idea of like, I'm going to make him hate me, I think that's just going to make him just take her soul. Like, he still has the ability to do that. He's making this a thing where she can choose. He doesn't have to. Like, I don't know that she has the option of actually gaining freedom. And what would that mean? Like, I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, well, she's like 300 plus years old at this point. If she were to somehow become human again, does she immediately shrivel and die? Or does she get to live out the rest of her life as if she was actually 23 years old? I don't know what that would be. Not that I think he would do that. I don't think he would. I think he's gonna like definitely take her soul at some point. He's giving her the opportunity to like play along with him, because I do think he has some feelings for her, and I think he's also kind of lonely, and this is the first time in his, I don't know how long he's existed, forever, that he has a connection with someone. So I think he's going to hold on to her as long as he can. But if she's going to play against him, I think he'd still just take her soul. But I don't know that she can necessarily outsmart him to get freedom. So I don't know. What do you think will happen?
I feel like this is one of the rare kinds of open endings that I'm not upset by it. I'm like, I don't feel like I need to know.
No, I don't either. I feel like I'm happy with this ending because like it's ambiguous while still giving us closure on things. Like I don't like ambiguous ends where it's just everything's up in the air and I don't know what's going to happen.
Because I feel like the ending wouldn't have been satisfying if it ends with either of them having their souls taken. Like that would just not have, after all the build-up of the book, I wouldn't have appreciated that. But like I feel like this is a kind of ending that like is worthy of the rest of the book.
Yeah. But I do think at some point she's going to give in. Like Hillary said, I think she'd just get exhausted with living in this world and give in. I do too. I think at some point she'll just be done because like I don't know, how long can you go on in that life? I mean, she's not alone now because I kind of got the feeling that they're more together now as opposed to like once a year or once every couple of years he shows up and we have a date kind of and then he goes away again. Like I feel like he's making the effort to be with her more frequently. So maybe not as lonely a life anymore, but also I think it would get old. I think it would get exhausting. I was already feeling exhausted for her and it was only 300 years. So only 300 years. But like I feel she would probably definitely give in at some point. I would. I think anyone would. Okay.
But then what happens when she gives in? Where is her soul?
I know. I need to know what happens because that bothered me a lot. Like I could not agree to something that I didn't know the full terms of. I think a curse like that is just you don't want to ask the wrong god for a gift like that because it's either going to be a gift or an absolute curse. And so, yeah. Okay. So
that was the last question.
That was okay. So I gave it 5 stars.
Yeah, I also gave it 5 stars.
You gave it 5 stars. So I love The Good Place, but we haven't finished it yet. We started watching season 4 and then we took a break for a while and we need to go back and finish it because I really want to see the end of the series before I get spoiled because I feel like that's bound to happen at this point. I've waited too long. So yeah, I love like thinking about death in the afterlife. I don't know why. That's just I'm morbid. So oh yeah, Dania says I love the way Schwab chose to circle back on certain scenes and themes from different perspectives. Yeah, that was kind of interesting getting to see the same thing happen from different angles. Yeah, definitely gonna watch the rest of The Good Place. Like I'm gonna make it like a priority this month because I keep saying we're gonna watch the rest of it. I've been watching it with my twins and they're like, are we watching it now? And I was like, I can't right now, I'm busy, but I'm gonna make a priority. We're gonna finish The Good Place in February. Okay, so I don't have a copy because it's not out yet, but the book we're reading in February is Game Changer by Neil Shusterman. It comes out February 9th. I am extremely excited because he's one of my favorite authors. He's an autobi author, so I'm really excited to get to that. Sarah's not going to be participating in that. Yeah. Semester starting of school, and
I'm also in a wow, I forgot the word. Reading slump. I almost said writer's block. No, I'm entering a reading slump right now, so yeah. I feel like I'm just gonna sit this one out.
That's fine. You can do that. You'll be back in March.
Mm-hmm. Definitely in March.
I'm gonna put up a video probably in a week or so talking about our book club selections for February, March, and April. So stay tuned for that. I'm still working out what we're gonna read in April. Sarah and I have been discussing it, what genre we want to read, what book. So we'll let you know. We're leaning towards doing either a mystery or horror in April.
Horror. I don't think I agree to mystery.
Well, I said something in either of those categories because that's something we haven't done. Well, we did horror back in September?
Yeah.
So we haven't done it lately, but we haven't really done much with mysteries, so, or thrillers. So if you guys want horror or thriller, let me know, and we'll maybe pick something for April at some point. I don't know. I have a couple options. I just don't know what I'm gonna. I don't know what I'm gonna be in the mood for next week, let alone in April. But I'm gonna try to figure that out. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about March Through History soon. I'm probably gonna film the announcement. I don't know. It is like February.
Very soon. You should probably
Next
do that.
week. Yeah, I should probably film that this week. I don't know. So yeah, I'm probably gonna put up a video about that maybe the first week of February. So we can talk about that. We kind of have been working out what the prompts are gonna be. So there's gonna be stuff coming out really soon. I don't know, this time is getting away from me. So but yeah, we'll be posting about that really soon. So stay tuned for that. It'll be fun. I'm excited. I haven't read much historical fiction lately, so I'm much.
You did, Addie, LaRue.
Well, I mean, I'd say that's historical fantasy. It's very light on the historic, much more heavy on the fantasy.
I mean,
you know, it felt more contemporary to me than it did historical, but yeah. So
it's about as historical as Buffy gets when like we get.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I keep comparing it to Buffy, but like it is very similar in a lot of ways. So nothing wrong with that. Buffy is an inspiration for all. so yeah, I'll be posting videos about the March Through History. I'll be posting about the books for book club. I've got a book haul coming really soon. I filmed it yesterday. Did I film that yesterday?
Yeah.
I think I did. Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
I watched you film it.
You're right. Yeah, so I filmed that yesterday. So that's coming. Lots of things in the works. So stay tuned for all of that. And I think we're going to wrap this up because we are both very tired. So I'm losing Sarah. I can like see her out of the corner of my eye just like slumping. So we're going to wrap this up. Thanks so much for hanging out with us and talking about Addie LaRue. I'm so glad you all read along with us. It was a lot of fun. This is one of my first 5 stars of the year. Well, the first 5-star for like a grown-up book, I think. I've read some middle grade that I gave 5 stars. Book. It was a grown-up book, for grown-ups. So it was a lot of fun. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and I'll see you guys next time. Happy reading. Bye. Bye.